I have completed my deconstruction of a 5th grade reading standard in which students are identifying different points of view from texts on the same topic. I have some great texts and video clips about the benefits of drinking chocolate milk that I think will work great for this standard. There are definitely different points of view about how healthy chocolate milk is. I am beginning my analysis of my deconstructed outcomes for depth of knowledge. Karen Hess's cognitive rigor matrices are really helpful for this work. As I look down the matrix, I recognize that many of my outcomes require analysis. But as I look across the matrix, I realize that most of the work students are doing is about comparing and contrasting the points of view. Back to my deconstructed statements, my knowledge outcomes represent DOK level 1, but the rest of my outcomes represent DOK level 2. My next step is to revise my statements. My goal is to have multiple DOK levels represented here. I want to have at least one statement that pushes my students' understanding to a DOK level 3. As I reflect on my statements, I'm pretty satisfied with how I've broken down the standard into these parts. I think it represents ways I can present some explicit instruction for an abstract term. However, as I look at my product target, I realize it's simply an additional way for students to practice what is already stated by the reasoning targets. Back to Karen Hess's matrix, I can see that analyzing author's craft in text would be at a DOK level 3. Thinking back to the chocolate milk articles I'm planning on using, I can see that this would require more thinking from the students. They could read the texts, reread them, and identify the sentences, phrases, or words that indicate the author's point of view. They could even look for patterns in the evidence they find. I know that in at least 2 of the texts, authors exaggerate a point about the amount of sugar in chocolate milk with words like enormous and mountains of sugar. Now with my deconstruction document analyzed and revised to ensure DOK levels 1 through 3, I'm ready to create learning targets to communicate the learning students will do. Although I have 6 statements on my deconstruction, I see 3 parts for my instruction. First, I will begin a lesson that reminds students what they have learned about point of view. Up to this point, students have identified the point of view in one article, so the new learning this year will be to compare and contrast the point of view in multiple articles. Finally, I will teach students how to look more closely at the evidence they collect to support a point of view. We'll look for similarities in the various ways authors can express their opinions. Use the Hess Cognitive Rigor Matrix to analyze your deconstruction statements. Make revisions to your deconstruction to include DOK levels 1 through 3. Then create learning targets that clearly communicate to students what they will learn.